related to this work. In so doing, he will also reflect on the elements in the annual report that was presented by the Secretary General, that lends well in respect of the mandate of sorting out issues and challenges and some of the persistent challenges in local government. To my left, I'm joined by Comrade David Makura, who convenes the coalition's task team, the team that was responsible in the year under review for documenting and putting together on behalf of the National Executive Committee, on behalf of the ANC, the coalition's framework. So we will talk about coalitions, but we want to do so in the context of the work we're doing to support the development of a coherent and a robust as well as a sustainable local government landscape in South Africa. Without any waste of time, I would like to then hand over to Comrade Parks, who will make remarks about the work that we have done since the inception of this 55th NEC. Comrade David will make remarks in that context, and then we will take questions. Thank you very much. Over to you, Comrade Parks.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Comrade Mahlengi, Comrade David, and good afternoon, colleagues. As indicated, the National Executive Committee established a new subcommittee, which is the Local Government Interventions Task Team, to look at issues related to local government and the challenges in local government in particular. And what I'll be reflecting on is the work of the Local Government Intervention Task Team to date, as covered in the annual report of the National Executive Committee, or that was presented to the National Executive Committee. The subcommittee, in the first instance, I think as many colleagues would be aware, convened a local government interventions workshop earlier last year, at which workshop we were able to frame the key issues confronting local governments from a political point of view and our response in that regard. And part of the agreement was that it is important to work with all the provinces, having identified the critical issues, to deal with the challenges that we confront, but equally to work with the respective departments in government to resolve some of these issues. In that regard, we have visited all the provinces as a subcommittee, have engaged with all the municipalities, did a comprehensive assessment from an ANC point of view of all the issues that we confront in local government and what then needs to be done. And some of these issues relate to, in the first instance, issues of service delivery. The reality that many municipalities do receive allocations for grants from national government, but do not always spend the grants, how to improve the efficiency around expenditure of grants. And we've identified the need to, one, enable and increase the support that's provided politically, including directly by the ANC, to those we have deployed as the ANC in local government to improve the work that they are able to do. The second is in instances where there is perennial under expenditure, we have directed that national government should revise the grants from direct grants to municipalities to indirect grants, meaning that the people in a jurisdiction should not suffer because the municipality is unable to perform against the grants they've received. Therefore, we have said, and both the Department of Water and Sanitation and COGTA have started implementation where there is perennial under expenditure. National government should facilitate expenditure itself of those grants. It's not always done by national government. In certain instances, we've invoked the district municipalities where these have capacity. In certain instances, we've invoked agencies of national government, whether these are water boards, the Municipal Infrastructure Support Agent, and other agencies to help the expenditure so that the people don't suffer. The second is related to under expenditure, where grant expenditure is also low, that municipalities should be able to reallocate, working with the respective departments, resources towards repairs and maintenance. Because the grants that are provided are capital grants, they are for infrastructure development. But in many instances, when there's under expenditure, what tends to happen is that the money is sent back to the national fiscus. And we've now said, no, instead of sending the money back to the national fiscus, reallocate it towards repairs and maintenance so that you're able to fix the potholes, fix the leaking pipes, and deal with the issues around repairs and operations in the municipalities. And the work has been done to ensure that this reallocation happens and we're able to see improvement with regards to repairs and maintenance. Now, those are some of the service delivery issues that we've had to deal with. But then there are also governance issues. We've looked at the governance-related matters in our municipalities and have found in certain instances challenges in municipalities led by the ANC and are deploying members of the National Executive Committee, members of the task team, to work with those municipalities to deal with governance-related matters in those municipalities as led by the ANC. The reality, however, is that you also have municipalities that are not under the leadership of the ANC, some of them under the leadership of our opponents. And how do we ensure that the ANC assumes its role of being effective, sitting in opposition benches, to ensure that, in fact, we don't just sit in opposition benches, but that we use our presence in those municipalities to represent our constituencies more effectively. So the issue about being effective in the municipalities where we're in opposition has been an important theme of the work that we do. So we do not only deal with instances where we're in government, but also with instances where we're in opposition. And lastly, we deal with the reality that the ANC is involved at a local government level in coalition governments. And those coalition governments require a particular framing, and I think Comrade David will reflect on that, about how we conduct ourselves as the ANC in coalition governments, but also how to ensure that we stabilize that environment. And part of the stabilization is how do we deal with the legislative issues. The process has started, the Municipal Structures Act, the amendments from the Department of COGTA have been done. It is now due for consultation processes so that the necessary legislative changes can be introduced to stabilize governance in municipalities that are under coalition. So from a governance point of view, we're intervening both through legislation, through actions about engaging with our own representatives about their conduct, their contribution, and how they stick to the discipline of the coalition's framework that's been developed by the ANC. So our emphasis and focus has always been, we have a practical experience in local government of being in coalition governments, and therefore on the basis of those lessons, how to enhance the performance of our representatives in those areas in terms of how they conduct themselves, the work that they do, but most important, place the people at the center of everything that we do in those instances. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, members of the media. Thank you very much, Comrade Parks. I will now turn to Comrade David Makhura, who will just make a few remarks related to the work we're doing around coalitions, particularly in Hang municipalities. You can proceed.
Thank you very much, Comrade Mahlenge and Comrade Parks, and good afternoon, members of the media. You certainly may remember that the ANC adopted a framework to manage coalitions in hung councils that was adopted by the NEC in April. That framework has been implemented across the country in a number of areas. Out of the NEC meeting of April 2023, that was in response to the National Conference call. And the National Conference basically said the ANC needs to approach this matter of coalitions in a manner consistent with its vision and its principles. That framework has been widely distributed. Some of the key issues that came out of that framework, which we shared with you, are the principles. So essentially we have 9 principles that guide us. Amongst those is the issue that coalitions must be based on a common minimum program, what we emphasize, it must be something that addresses the fundamental issues facing communities. We said coalitions, the coalition partners must also have a shared set of values about governance. Those principles inform us, and we emphasize that the party which has won the largest votes should essentially lead the coalition. We also put forward the idea of a threshold and the need to regulate coalitions, including on the important question of insulating coalition government and its ups and downs from the administrative processes, and that's what Comrade Parks was reporting on, that legislation process is underway, but also we made a call that there are several ways of setting up executives. One of that is Section 12 notices. We put that out there. So in October, that was April. In October, the NEC made a follow-up assessment based on this work that the local government intervention team is doing, essentially to answer the question, as we put all the efforts on stabilizing local government, including the hung councils, creating stability, what is our assessment? So the NEC came to the conclusion that there are areas where there are coalitions that are not serving the interests of the people. And this has been raised across different sectors. And that the ANC should review, the NEC took the decision in October, that the ANC should review its participation in coalitions that are not working for the people. Because coalitions should not be about the parties, the political parties. It cannot just be about the wheeling and dealing. It must be that every municipal coalition must be assessed on the basis of whether it's really improving service delivery. So the work that the local government intervention team is doing has enabled us also to assess the various coalitions. You will recall that we have 81 hung councils across the country. So since October, when the ANC took this decision, we have been busy reviewing, assessing various municipalities where the ANC is involved in hung councils. And the report of the Secretary General to the NEC basically was that we will complete this work at the end of January. It's all the municipalities in which the ANC is participating across the country. We have identified, certainly there are municipalities where things are not improving, and the ANC will be able to announce once it has completed work at the end of January, in which municipalities we are not going to participate in those coalitions. That's the update so far. You will also know that there has been a process of the national dialogue. The principles I've referred to, the ANC participated in that national dialogue. We have reaffirmed our approach. You know what was said by the many parties there, especially the smaller parties, about their attitude to the party that has the largest majority. Many of them said they don't support that. The party with the largest majority must, or the largest votes must lead. We have reaffirmed in this NEC that that should still be the guiding principle in municipal coalitions in which we participate. We can't ignore the outcome of elections. It's profoundly undemocratic to do so, to be able to say, but which party has the largest endorsement, even if that party doesn't have 50% plus one, but which party, we can't ignore the voice of the people. We also reaffirm the threshold, that in this issue of the threshold is something that in municipal councils in which we participate, we will reaffirm. I do want to say that the NEC has not discussed coalitions for national and provincial government. So this framework is about municipal coalitions, because our attitude is absolutely clear on the national and provincial elections. We are going into these elections to win back overwhelming support to continue as the governing party in South Africa. This framework is to enable us in the municipalities that Comrade Parks was reporting on to stabilize, and many of these municipalities are really not able to move, even if the coalitions are there. That's why we say they are not working for the people. They are not working for those communities. And the ANC can't just participate in coalitions for its own sake. So we are reviewing that our participation in there so that we can complete this process at the end of January. Thank you, Comrade Mahlenge.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Comrade Parks and Comrade Makura. With that said, I will invite any questions that yourselves, colleagues from the media, may have. I will start with yourself, my brother, over here. Please raise your voice.
With the coalitions, don't you think the non-performance of some municipalities has to do with sabotaging each party that is leading? If you can check in the provincial level where the ANC is governing, you'll find out the municipality that is led by the opposition from the ANC's point of view usually doesn't get the necessary support from the provincial and special core. The non-performance of some municipalities has to do with sabotaging each party and not the party popularity, and also to blame.
Thank you very much, Comrade Parks.
Well, sabotage is a harsh set of words. I think in reality, the South African Constitution is designed in a manner that places an obligation on national and provincial government to provide support to local government. And the systems of providing support to local government are prescribed in legislation. Are there instances where cooperation is not optimal? I think there is evidence of that. Throughout the country, in fact, where there is instances where cooperation is not optimal and needs to be improved. But that was part of what the national dialogue was about, because it's a responsibility of the political parties in government to ensure that they perform their constitutional role and obligation. In instances where, in fact, there is an element of sabotage, I would suggest that there is an obligation on any institution that believes it is being sabotaged to invoke mechanisms available in law in the country. So the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act governs any dispute between spheres of government. So there is a mechanism to resolve disputes between spheres of government. That's why I was saying it would be a harsh set of words to use, because there are mechanisms available to resolve any disputes. And to the extent that this is a dispute as a result of conduct by political principals, there is an obligation on those who feel aggrieved to take action to ensure that those matters are resolved.
Thank you very much. I'll proceed. ENCA.
For instance, in the Kuruleni chairperson, the Jongisa Zabati, once wrote a letter around how because of the EFF and ANC coalition agreement, or the agreement in that particular municipality was not working. So what have been some of the clashes that you have encountered? And two, I know Mr. Makura said you're not speaking about national government coalitions yet, but has there been a discussion around that for the possibility of, if you were to get back to that point, what would be the way forward?
I will request us to deal with the first question and Makura to deal with the second.
Well, I think first it's important to restate a point raised earlier, that the Coalition's task team is compiling a report to go to the National Executive Committee based on a comprehensive assessment of the performance of coalition. So it would be premature for us to then say, this is the report that's going to the NEC, so that the NEC is able to take decisions. All we can say is that the NEC has agreed that this report should be provided by the end of January, on which basis a decision will be made. So if you indulge us, allow us to get the report to the NEC first.
And there will be a matter, and is this now in terms of the specific question around the eco-limiter? Is that, would that be the kind of response you were looking at?
Yeah, but I wanted to know what have been the challenges during council and having to work with these parties, other parties. I think, yeah.
Okay. I will, yeah. I did feel that you need further response. Thank you very much, David.
Yes, I think the fundamental principle for us is that these coalitions, at least where we have looked at them and what informed the reason to review, is they are not making progress for communities. And in many areas, what we put as the principles, this minimum program, in many areas, that's a shared set of values, including on governance, and that they wouldn't compromise. The ANC doesn't want to be part of a coalition that would compromise its own standing. For example, a coalition where part of the deal making results in corruption, results in appointment of officials that's not consistent with the law. If you're talking about deal makers or deal breakers, in fact, that's the deal breakers. So this set of principles, we're finding that in some instances, some of these coalition partners want to put the ANC on in other words, into disrepute. To be part of a coalition where you become aware that some of these processes that may be undertaken there are illegal and they break with the ANC is renewing itself. We are putting a great deal of emphasis on the need for no one of our members deployed in government should do the sort of things that compromises the resources meant to improve the quality of life of people. And then there's deal making around those. You will take this, we will take this, this tender will go to that. So as a general concern, that would be the thing. And the second thing is when we look at this whether there's stability in a municipality and whether a municipality is able to respond to the principal service delivery issues of the municipality. So we talk about that in general. You are asking a specific situation of a municipality. At the moment, we are looking at all municipalities in which we have been involved in supporting a particular coalition. We are looking at all of them. Rest assured that Ekurhuleni is included. Rest assured that Johannesburg is included. Rest assured that Nelson Mandela Bay is included. But there are a lot more in every province where we have, it may be a local municipal council, it may be a district council, it may be a metro. But we are looking at all of them. We started this review in November, and we worked also in December. We will complete this work as we reported by the end of February. What government reports to us is also very important, because we're not just involved in a political exercise. When government says to us, this municipality, everything has been tried. We have tried everything with all the instruments of law to stabilize this municipality. It's not moving. In fact, things are getting worse. We can tell you there are municipalities where things are getting worse than they were in 2021. They are moving in reverse. When government says to us, this is the situation, and the ANC is in a coalition there is something remiss there. So we will also do take that into account. But we will engage with all the ANC structures across the country in terms of that report to the National Executive Committee. The ANC wants to operate based on principles. So if there's a coalition government that is not based on the principles we have adopted are not for the ANC. The principally is to make sure that government works for the people. And if it doesn't work for the people, what are we doing in that municipality? I am done.
Thank you very much. I don't see, yourself, my brother, go ahead. Please introduce yourself.
Mutsivi Munaren from the SABC. Maybe the question should go back to Dr. Makomi to say, if you say that the NEC has not discussed the coalition looking at the national,
Just unmute on your voice, please.
I was saying that if the ANC has not, the NEC has not discussed the coalition framework looking into the coming elections, the national and provincial elections, is the ANC optimistic that is going to win these elections, the coming elections?
Clarify that. We did say that we have a coalition's framework already.
So we are just looking at a continuous review, but Comrade David can clarify it even better.
Yeah, I would like to say that I think the National Executive Committee of the ANC would like to send a message to its structures and to the people of South Africa that we're seeking an overwhelming mandate in the 2024 elections, precisely because of this experience we have, that coalitions don't quite work for the people. That's our experience, and that for that reason. So it's not whether we will discuss coalitions about national. We are working, and we know that an election is about winning the confidence of the people. So we are working in everything we do to win the confidence. The South African people will give an overwhelming mandate to a party, and we say we are the party. So obviously you will listen to what the president will also say on January 8th. We'll listen to what the ANC's manifesto is going to say. But to say to the people of South Africa, coalitions will work or they are working will be completely not based on their own experience. And it is better to give a party a clear mandate. And we go in all the work we have done in 30 years, in all the work we are doing, we will be doing also this year. This National Executive Committee is very, very clear. We are not asking for the people to consider who we must work with. Coalitions in the context of our country and all the maneuvers you are seeing, coalitions are not going to produce greater progress, which is what the people need. And so we are absolutely clear. We are absolutely clear that we are looking at a full and clear mandate is what we are seeking from the people of South Africa.
Thank you very much.
Just to the panel again, Puleni Chuti Jones, ENCA. I know you said you're discussing the framework around the coalition process and all of that. That's still in discussion. There's a report as well you'll be tabling for the ANC, you've tabled before. But I just want to get clarity around what the SG said at the local government election, local governance summit in Boksburg. I think you were there as well, Mr. Pakslaw. He said the party needed to rethink its position instead of adding to the dysfunctionality within municipalities. In an event whereby there's a party that says they want the mayoral position but only has 2 seats in the municipal council, what happens then? Are you breaking away from that relationship or you will continue to engage? I just want to get a sense of that. And just lastly, what's your posture for KZN? Do you think that you will win outright in KZN? The EFF seems to believe that they will be dominant in the province and they will win the province. I just want to get a sense of what ANC is thinking right now.
what our assessment of every province on electoral outcomes is. And I hope you're not trying to drag me there. So Posture and KZN as the Secretary General and the election team, when they have assessed, listen to what the President is going to say on January 8th. But I just want to say that on coalitions, we're quite clear that we are making an assessment everywhere. So let's say there is a place where there is a mayor who's not ANC and we are in coalitions. We need to look at evidence. We want to assure the people of our country that it will be evidence-driven. Evidence-driven is not driven by a narrow internal politics of the ANC. We will assess so we are assessing. We are assessing, we have started with some. We are still going to be going to the rest of the provinces. We'll look at every municipality in its own right. So I'm saying, hypothetically, if we were to get at a municipal council, which is where the mayor is not ANC, but it is working, what would be the reason for us to simply say a municipality that's really working for the people? We should do something else. So I want to emphasize that it's really about whether that coalition is working for the people or not. And then we look at the principles. The emphasis of our principles is that these coalitions must serve the people. And if it doesn't, we have to get out of those coalitions. If it works and the evidence independently, including from government, is that this is a municipality that's functioning, we will arrive at a different conclusion. And which municipality is that and what we will say, please wait for that assessment. So you may as well know of a municipality A or X. What we are going to evaluate is whether that municipality is really functioning and what's the overall evidence of that. Because we don't want to just keep people in positions where it is not serving the people. Not ANC members and not the ANC will be party to that process. So that's our overall emphasis.
Thank you very much. That then concludes matters. I'm just checking if there's any other hand. I don't see any. I think that with that said, colleagues, thank you very much for coming through. We are now adjourned. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.